Okay, another citizen, please.
My name is Gene Lonigan. I'm a resident of New Smyrna Beach. Frank, you mentioned the rail service. You mentioned that you were instrumental in. The money was brought into the county by John Micah.
Correct.
Where does the rail system begin and end?
Today,
Yes, as the plan that you have for it now.
you want to finish asking your question?
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up, it doesn't come into Daytona Beach, yet we're paying for it. We have the convention center, we have the airport, but we have no rail terminal. From what I understand, it ends or begins in DeBarry, depending upon what side you're coming, east or west to east. This is going to cost the taxpayers here in Volusia County to subsidize that rail system, because we all have to put money. I think you, what did we put in, 25%? No, I'm just trying to find out what the cost. What did the county?
Ask your question, I'll answer it.
Okay, what did the county commit towards that rail?
First of all, it starts in DeBarry, and it starts in 2014. It's 61 miles. It goes through Volusia County, the Volusia County portion. It goes into Seminole County, goes into Orange County, and through Orlando area. That is the first phase. You got to take the first step. The money, you're absolutely right. John Micah got us the federal funds. That's 50% of the project. 25% was through the state of Florida, and the other 25% was the 4 counties in the city of Orlando. Now, you're talking about rail. You start out in this particular portion, and then the second phase will go from the DeLand area all the way through Osceola County. It is envisioned that rail will go from the Tampa Bay area to this stretch, all the way to the Daytona Beach area. There will be a connection in Daytona Beach with Amtrak coming down from the northeast, scheduled for 2014, with Amtrak with a stop in the Daytona Beach area, and then continue to go all the way down to Miami. That's what it's envisioned.
Thank you, sir.
You're telling me that it'll be completed by 2014?
It starts in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Next, gentleman over here, give this side of the room a chance.
Tom Zachary with Deltona. With both of you going to the critical office in for the, especially for the southwest part of this county, what's going to keep people from going across the river for jobs? We have no jobs stationed in that corridor. The corridor, the I-4 corridor, is a very valuable corridor. It's not being utilized. What do you envision to be utilized, help become that be created, the I-4 corridor to be utilized for both of it to keep jobs there, so people have to go across the river to earn their keep?
I think I answered the last. I'll answer it. Hey, we've been working with the Central Florida corridor area. I mentioned it earlier. From the Tampa Bay to the Daytona Beach area, it's the 10th largest economic corridor in the country. We are working with our colleges and with UCF. We're working with Embry-Riddle. We've got Next Gen out at the airport. We've got manufacturers doing a booming business right now. We've brought in a lot of different corporations. We just need to get, and there are jobs available right now.
It's on the east side, I'm talking about the west side.
On the west side of the county, we have many companies over on the west side of the county. We've got the land crossings on I-4 and 44 that we put in over the last few years.
I think we've answered this sufficiently now. Mrs. Hukill, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes,
quickly?
you know, I agree. Volusia County has not done a good job at adopting policies or using policies that the state has, which allows job creators to create jobs. We have multiple layers here in Volusia County, and I'm not quite frankly sure what they do. We have an economic development group out of the county. We have Team Volusia, we have the CEO Alliance, and it goes on and on. Basically, there are policies that can be adopted. There are programs that can be taken advantage of. There are incentives that can be taken advantage of from the state, and Volusia does not do a good job.
Mr. Reese, you're next. I don't mean to cut you guys off, but we're really running on it. We want to give enough time for closings.
Robert Reese, New Smyrna Beach. Both of you are running for an office at the state level And I'd like to know, is this the level that the citizen would approach to put a cap on the number of amendments put on a ballot? And I'd like to find out who I would approach to get this accomplished. The citizen needs a relief there.
I agree.
Well, you know, as a citizen, you have a right under the Constitution to bring forth any amendment by drafting an amendment, potential amendments to the Constitution, and getting signatures. That's one way of doing it. The second way would be to obviously approach legislators in the Senate or legislators in the House to get them to sponsor such an amendment.
I want a cap on it. I don't want a level
I'm saying sponsor an amendment that would cap the number of amendments.
Mr. Bruno, do you need to add anything to that, or
We're fine.
Mr. Gibson from Oak Hill, please? I've been waiting.
Douglas Gibson from Oak Hill. Simple question, yes or no answer. How do y'all stand on legalized gambling?
Yes.
Ms. Hukill?
How do you stand on, if it's legalized gambling, it's legal already?
It's a good question.
Next citizen, lady in the pink.
Good evening, and thank you for being here in New Smyrna. We don't get an opportunity to have many debates here. First of all, my name is Mary Ann Pistilli, and I live in Volusia, New Smyrna Beach. And yes, I am an Italian. And I'm from New Jersey, and I'm not offended. And I think, Frank, you have a little bit of thicker skin than that, being Italian from New Jersey. But my biggest question and my biggest concern is, aside of everything else that goes on, is where each of you stand with Agenda 21.
He's got it.
Enough information.
Ms.
This
Hukill?
is my issue. This is a lot of people's, this is a lot
Okay,
of
no
people's
speeches,
issue.
please.
What is Agenda
I know, we
21?
don't have time left. Ms. Hukill, do you want to answer the question for the lady?
Well, I thought the county council had adopted a resolution.
Far from the truth.
Okay.
Far from the truth.
I can tell her that there is somebody in the Florida House that's actually looking at bringing forward a bill, after doing some research on the bill from the health perspective.
Okay, we're going to take two more questions. The lady over here and the red who's been waiting.
Carol Ann Stoughton, Edgewater, Florida. My question is this to Mr. Bruno, and also Ms. Hukill could answer it too. Mr. Bruno, do you support the Volusia Teachers Organization, the Florida Professional Firefighters, and the Florida Nurses Organization?
Do I support them?
Yes.
They've endorsed me, all three of those organizations.
That's what I
One question.
The question is, I am offended. I am half Italian, and I also come from New Jersey, and I have watched Mr. Bruno work for many
No
years,
speeches,
and
please.
he will work
Thank
well.
you. Next resident, gentleman in the
Hi, my name is Brian Fawn. I'm a junior at Spruce Creek High School in Port Orange, Florida. My question is for both candidates. I'm 18 months away from starting a college education. Mr. Bruno and Ms. Hukill, how would you ensure that the cost of state secondary education to students does not prevent Florida college students from taking their talents elsewhere?
From taking their what else, sir?
Their talents elsewhere.
Excellent question, thank you.
Yeah, you know, it is an excellent question because I happen to be a product of public university education. At least my BA was public education, and that I worked and paid for tuition. You know, we are getting to the point where an education is becoming totally out of reach for people like you, and that they will graduate with a tremendous amount of debt. And I'm looking at people who are looking at me right now that have that debt. So I know, and I had that too once at one point in my life. I did not support, and in fact, this is a very contentious issue in the Florida House, where there was a vote to raise the fees that schools could charge our public universities. I voted against it, which is very contentious because I actually went against my party. I went against leadership, but it's something that I feel very, very strongly in. It's something that I will pledge to support to lower.
Let me just answer it this way. Because of the cuts in education made by this legislature, the contribution for college funding went from 75% to 50%. That puts the burden on you. And so that needs to be readdressed in the future, and they cannot, they should take responsibility for cutting and putting you in that situation today.
Thank you very much. Before we get to the next question, I want to ask both candidates, appeal to both candidates. I know we said we'd end it at 7:30. We have a choice. We can either eliminate closing arguments or extend it for 10 more minutes and get a couple more questions. And if you can't stay, then just tell me what you want to do.
How many questions do we have? Oh, 10 minutes, right?
I'd like to have at least a couple more people.
Okay, let's have
Is
some
there a
questions.
debate?
Let's have the question.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, Ida Wright from Daytona Beach. And my question goes in reference to the Harvard report that you referenced. When you talk about the gains we did over the last couple of years, it also talks about the doubling that we gave to public education. So in order for us to maintain that, what would you do or what would you suggest, especially with the DCD really giving us a major pain here in Volusia County, to make sure for Florida to remain there, where are we going to get the money from, and what would you suggest?
Okay, I didn't understand. You said it talks about doing what?
In the Harvard report,
Yeah, it talks about.
when you reference
Right.
where we are as far as learning gains, it also talks about the states that actually took education by the horn, in that Florida had to double the money that they gave for education. So I'm saying for us to remain where we are, as far as the learning gains, where are we going to get the money when education is being cut?
Well, I think that, number one, the commitment to education is very strong in the Florida legislature, and I personally reiterate that. But we all know that learning gains are not tied directly to funding, because if that were the case, places like Washington, D.C. would have the highest scores rather than the lowest scores because they have the highest funding in the country. It's a matter of giving teachers the tools they need so they can teach kids. It's a matter of providing all of the curriculum that they need so that children are prepared for the 21st century and beyond. So it's not a matter of just money. Here in Volusia County, we've been losing kids. We have been losing kids, so therefore some of the funding has been cut. Obviously funding, at least per child funding, is tied to you have a child, you pay for that child's education. So while the Harvard report says that we are the second highest in the country since 1995, so obviously we have made significant gains, and those significant gains are because of the tools we have given teachers who are on the front line, in addition, parents and students.
Chairman Bruno, very briefly, please, because I have two more people.
She says that she wants to provide the students with the tools to learn, yet they're cutting the money to the districts. That doesn't make sense. The other thing is, it was asked about the DCD, District Cost Differential. What I mentioned earlier, $97 million should be here and invested in education here in Volusia County, and we're sending it down to Broward County and to Miami. If they've had 8 years to work on this, to change that formula, we are a donor to other communities. Our money needs to stay in Volusia County so that we don't have to keep taxing ourselves more to keep up with education.
Then we're going to have one more, and then we're done.
I'm John Frank from here in New Smyrna, and actually, I was asking about the medical care system. Right now, about a third of the state budget is being eaten up by the Medicaid program, and under Obamacare, if the state accepted that, it would go to half of our budget. How would you address that when you get to the Senate, either?
Well, go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, a very, very good comment. As a matter of fact, about 30% of the budget is eaten up. We have over 3 million people at this point in time who are on Medicaid. We are spending tremendous amounts, because there's a lot of need in Volusia County, there's a lot of need throughout the state. You know, I'm concerned about extension of Medicaid to our citizens, even though they may need it, because then what is going to be the result of how much it will wind up costing us? You know, hopefully as the economy improves, there'll be more money in the state budget. But at this point in time, the rise in people who are needing Medicaid and needing health and human services is far outstripping the rise in income to the state. That being said, I think, you know, we all know that recently there was a court opinion that upheld certain parts of what we call Obamacare. But that court decision actually gave us some flexibility on whether or not the state could or could not accept it. The problem is that immediately the federal government will pick up the cost of that Medicaid. However, that will be decreased over time and the state will have to pick it up. We have to find a way to reduce the Medicaid costs, which we have done. We're currently in a pilot program in Florida, which has saved $100 million a year.
It is a major issue in the state of Florida, no question about it. The problem is that you've got about 2 million people that don't have any kind of health insurance. So what are we doing? We're paying it through our taxes, in our hospitals, in the emergency rooms. That's where they're getting their treatment. So we've got to work with the federal government and not lose the funding and get ourselves out of this situation by working with the federal government to get our fair share and not lose it to other states.